What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. Real quick, before questions, we got two little housekeeping items. First, we need to send a shout out and a thank you to Rain Man, one of our moderators for our live streams, who's always there, always helpful, and they also joined our Patreon, or increased their Patreon to the Jedi Master level, so thank you for everything you do for us, Rain Man. Second, in our frenzy to buy Baby Yoda stuff, Molly got two of these on accident, and I'm pretty sure I got two of these. We built this a while ago, you know, the one where Molly dropped it.
Oh boy.
I mean, I gotta bring it up when I can. So we have some extra Baby Yoda stuff, and
I mean, come on. How cute.
We have some extra Baby Yoda stuff, and we thought we would just give it away. So there is a giveaway link in the description. So go enter that, and we'll send you out some Baby Yoda stuff.
Our first two questions this week come from Mr. JD Rice, who asks us to make our final predictions for The Mandalorian Season 2 and wants to know if the High Republic might get a name drop.
So this is our last Q&A before we actually know some hardcore facts about The Mandalorian. Figured this was a fun time to just do some speculation, and we'll just run through. I put a list on there of like potential things and rumors. So we're going to talk about stuff that's been rumored for a while. If you want to go into The Mandalorian completely blind without knowing any of that stuff, I'll put a link or a time code to jump to. But let's dive into it.
Okay, well, the big one, Ahsoka.
I'm pretty confident she's going to be in this. But we've also people have been like, she's going to be in the trailer, and she wasn't. But I still, just the amount of publications that reported on this, beyond just like the core Star Wars leakers, it was like The Hollywood Reporter, and I think Vanity Fair. Like, a lot of people picked this story up. So
yeah,
I don't see them throwing that out there lightly.
Sure. I'm giving that one like a 95% chance.
That's what I was going to say too. I think that one's pretty likely.
I still think, like, I'm not getting my hopes up for anything huge. I'm still thinking like one episode, maybe two. Really small part.
Well, I like that in the special look we got, he's talking about, I have to find more Mandalorians. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like the idea that he finds Sabine and not Ahsoka. Like,
yeah,
that feels like a better connection to me. And he doesn't even know who Ahsoka is. And then maybe at a key moment she whips out some lightsabers and he's like, what?
How do I get one of those?
And yeah, I agree with you. I hope it's a small part, but I've just heard this enough times that I'm like, yeah, it's probably happening.
Bo-Katan.
This is what, like, with my heart, I want to say 100%. I can't say that.
This one is the one that we've been wanting for like since the beginning, I think, but the only inclination that we might see her is because the Darksaber's there. We haven't really seen or heard anything official.
Still not. It's the same lines as Ahsoka. I believe we've had a lot of reports from various publications.
I haven't even seen that many reports about this.
It wasn't as many as
Ahsoka, but this one is...
But it was reported on by, like, legit publications. So again, I'm like, come on, I don't want to get my hopes up. Like, I want Bo-Katan more than I want Ahsoka.
Yes, I do too.
And again, that line, I'm trying to find Mandalorians. There you go.
And I, like, Katie Sackhoff is...
Yes.
The only person who can play her.
That's mostly, I think, why we really want this, is because we love Battlestar Galactica so much.
Yeah.
Like, come on, get us a live-action Bo-Katan played by Katie Sackhoff, who voiced her. It's all coming together. And I really liked your idea of, in that special look, it looks like there's a prison breakout, and you're like, maybe they're rescuing Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe they're rescuing her, and, like, I mentioned in that very last shot of the last TV spot that we got, of him saying, like, here we go, flying off. Maybe they edited an extra person out of that scene.
Or multiple. Like, if he is gathering Mandalorians throughout this season, it could be Bo-Katan and Sabine and Boba Fett, which we'll get to him. But if Gideon has the Darksaber, maybe he has Bo-Katan imprisoned. I think that would be a really cool connection. But I'm gonna try to temper my expectations on this one a little more. I'm gonna say 80%.
I'll by pure force of my will, I'll say 82%.
It's a lot of will. An extra 2%.
Boba Fett. This one's tough because we've seen, I guess, his what do you call it? It's his manager, his
agency.
His agency
put on his resume, or I don't know what actors call that. His filmography, that he's playing Boba Fett in The Mandalorian. But we've also heard rumors that he's playing Rex. And again, we've seen publications talking about Temuera Morrison coming back. So it could be Rex, it could be Boba Fett, it could be a random clone, it could be all of the above.
Yeah.
This one, I guess we should put Boba Fett or Cobb Vanth. Like, I'm still at the point where I'm now okay with Boba Fett coming into the story. Didn't want him in season 1. Now I'm like, okay, I think they're building towards him. But I think Cobb Vanth would be the cooler. Like, let's take another step. Let's get a little bit closer to Boba Fett, but maybe not full on reveal him.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just had a thought, like, them teasing IG-11 and then it turning out to be IG-88. What if they're teasing...
You mean the other way around?
Yeah, sorry. Teasing what people thought was IG-88 turned out to be IG-11. What if they're teasing that we're getting Temuera Morrison as Boba Fett, but really we're getting Cobb Vanth and he's going to be Rex?
Yeah, like, I'd be fully on board for that. But again, like, Rex would make sense if he was with Sabine and Ahsoka. And, like, I could see him doing both easily. And even just, like, Rex is in the background and he doesn't do much, but then we have Boba Fett. Like, I'm okay with him being in it. I'm gonna go 75% for Boba Fett. Like
I just don't want him in it.
I know you don't. I mean, I don't want him to overshadow the Mandalorian, but I don't think he will at this point.
Probably not. I mean, this is the Baby Yoda show at this point.
Right.
Let's be honest. Well, okay, so you say 75%?
Yeah, again, like, I don't fully trust agencies when they say things, and, like, IMDb can be edited by anybody, so that's never a reliable source, but
I'll will that one down to
73%.
73%. Hilo's moving the camera.
Why? Just okay.
And then we briefly brought up Sabine, Rex, Cobb Vanth already.
Okay. Yeah, like, Cobb Vanth, I'm gonna go down to like 60% on Cobb Vanth.
That's high to me.
I mean, like, that's another one where I'm kind of willing it to happen, because that would just, I never would have guessed that they'd take, like, here's a character that was in 3 chapters of a book, not remotely the focus of it, but we're gonna talk about him some more. Like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want it to happen very badly. And again, like, I think I want Cobb Vanth more than I want Boba Fett.
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to say 50% chance that we see Cobb Vanth, or maybe hear about him. Sabine, did we say that already?
I'd put her with, well, we've heard a lot about Ahsoka. I kind of want to put her, probably not at a 95%. Like, man, I feel like I'm going high on all of these.
Would she be with Ahsoka at this point?
I think so. The last time we saw them in Star Wars Rebels, they were teaming up together. And if he's looking for Mandalorians, I think it makes sense to be looking for Sabine. So, I feel like I'm going way high on all these now. But 85%. We've heard rumors of Sabine, but we haven't heard anything specific the way that we've heard Boba Fett,
right?
Bo-Katan, Ahsoka. Excuse me.
I'm gonna say 60% chance.
Okay.
Oh, Ilum.
That's one that I've been kind of planning my flag down, being like, yes, make that snow planet Ilum. But I'm kind of backing off of that. It's something I really want. I'm gonna go 30% on that one. I'm gonna go low.
I figured you'd go much higher than that.
It's something I want. I think that would be cool, but I think the safe thing to do, when all you have is like an environment, and we're like, oh, a snow planet. It's probably a new planet.
31%.
Oh my god. This isn't The Price is Right.
And then chances of hearing about the High Republic in Mandalorian
Yeah,
season
kind of
2.
like, so just any reference of someone saying like, oh, back in the days of the High Republic, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking pretty low. The whole corporate synergy side of things, like the fact that it's coming out, The Mandalorian will be coming out very shortly before the High Republic does, kind of makes me think like, I mean, it makes sense, but also the High Republic was already supposed to be going on at this point. I also don't know how closely everyone's working together, and if Favreau is like, oh yeah, cool, I'll write that in. Like, I kind of feel like he's doing his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the vibe I get.
Yeah, I say 1% chance of us hearing about it in this season of this show.
I was going to go 10%. Like, maybe if Bo-Katan were to just like dump a bunch of Mandalorian history on Din Djarin, maybe she could say something about the High Republic, but yeah, I'm not thinking it's going to be anything significant.
I wouldn't imagine we would hear about it from an already established character, except for like maybe the Armorer might slip and say something about the High Republic since she seems to know a lot. But because we've never seen Bo-Katan talk about the High Republic in the Clone Wars, then like...
Well, yeah, but it didn't exist then.
But I know. But like, why bring it up now?
I don't know. I do think it's unlikely. I'll go 10%.
Soli wants to know if Moff Gideon could be the leader of the Imperial Remnant group mentioned at the end of Lost Stars.
I don't think so. I think Moff Gideon is like his own thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a stretch. And
so,
I like what you said before. I feel like Favreau would make this his own thing.
Yeah. And Lost Stars was written in 2015. It was supposed to lead into The Force Awakens. I think they were very clearly they keep it very vague on purpose, but at that point in time, I think they were trying to say, here's the start of the First Order. But also it could be any number of other things. Like, I think that Claudia Gray was just keeping things very ambiguous at that point in time. But it's definitely not like, okay, now in 2015, we're going to set up this series that we have planned for 2019. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think that was too far apart.
Yeah, agreed.
So yeah, I think Gideon was probably someone that didn't go into the unknown regions. Either he wasn't worthy or he chose not to go, and he's like just trying to carve out his own little piece of the galaxy. And he's like, I can rule over this area and have my own tiny little empire. Mm-hmm. That's what I think he's all about.
Alden Diaz wants to know if we could see Fenn Rau pop up in future live-action stories.
I liked this one because, especially with The Mandalorian, we've brought this line up like 3 times now. The Mandalorian's looking for more Mandalorians. And yeah, Fenn Rau's not a name I see thrown around as much, but he is another person who kind of resembles his voice actor. Kevin McKidd played him in Star Wars Rebels. He could pull it off in live action too. And you know, I don't know. I wonder, maybe in the Star Wars Rebels part, maybe they had the Mandalorian in the back of their minds then. So maybe they were like, hey, maybe we should make some of these characters resemble their voice actors.
It's certainly interesting to think about.
But he's someone that also is steeped in Mandalorian history. He taught Kanan about the Darksaber. Like he's taught us the most about the Darksaber so far.
That's a good point. That ups his chances a little bit in my book.
I think so. I mean, I would kind of... So, season 1, I kind of joked about it being like a little mini Star Wars Avengers, where it's like every episode you'd meet a new character, and then at the end, Mando like gathers them all together, and now we've got IG-11 and Kuil and Cara Dune and Greef Karga, and we're all fighting Moff Gideon. I think it would be neat if something similar happened, where it's like, okay, now we're finding Bo-Katan, Sabine, Fenn Rau, Boba Fett. It would be interesting. I think that it would be interesting if they ran into him, and just what kind of conversations. Does Boba Fett think he's a Mandalorian? Do they still not think he is? All that. But,
yeah. Does he care about the Darksaber?
yeah, but it would be cool if he did gather a group of Mandalorians, and now it's like the Mandalorians and Cara and Greef and Baby Yoda, and now it's like their team is getting bigger. I think that'd be pretty dope.
It came to my attention just now that like Boba Fett could potentially talk about Force users.
Sure.
Like that could be...
He's had plenty of encounters.
Yeah, that could be... I mean, like, it would be so cool to see him tell a story about, like, Luke.
Sure. how he got knocked into the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Last Jedi I saw, I was going to point my rockets at him, and then I got knocked into... I don't know what happened. My jetpack just fired off. And...
You know he's going to flub that story. He's going to be like, well, I was doing something extremely heroic.
It's going to be just like Robot Chicken. When he falls down there with Weequay, and he's like, how'd you wind up in here? And he's like, oh, it was totally awesome. Like, a bunch of Jedi showed up, and I was like, not today.
Off topic. Garrett McDowell asks how we feel about the idea that using too much of the Force can kill you.
I'm fine with it, because I don't want the Force to be just like I don't think there should be limits on what the Force can do, but there should be limits on what a person can do with the Force.
Agreed. I mean, we saw in The Rise of Skywalker, like, as far as Force healing goes, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, it takes something out of you, using the Force to project yourself. So the way I guess I kind of see it is that the Force doesn't kill you. It's not like punishment. I mean, Ben Solo gave his life into Rey's.
It's like
that was a trade-off.
It's like using the Force for the ultimate sacrifice.
Right. And then Luke, I'm kind of, I guess, of the mindset that it's not like he did that and the Force was like, well, as punishment, you're dead. I think he was just kind of like so into the Force at that point that he became one with it.
Yeah. That was kind of his Obi-Wan on the Death Star moment.
Right. Like, and that's also I don't know if Obi-Wan just became one with the Force, or if Vader killed him and he became one with the Force. It's still kind of up in the air.
Well, he kind of like does one of these.
Like, yeah, so I kind of get a vibe of him. It's either like I accept my death, or I'm like, okay, I'm becoming one with the Force and I'm going to really mess with Vader here. Like, I think it could go either way, but in my opinion, Luke was just using so much of the Force that it didn't so much kill him. He just became one with it. He elevated.
He ascended.
Right. He died, but did he really? I mean, he's a ghost, but we just call them ghosts because that's what we think of them as. Yeah,
Force ghost. Yeah. I mean, he can use the Force. We saw it.
He can interact with the physical world, so can Yoda. Mm-hmm. I think that they're more like elevated beings rather than dying. And I would guess that Ben Solo is too. I do think it's odd that they didn't have him hanging out with Luke and Leia at the end there.
I mean, do you think maybe he did too much bad stuff?
Same as Anakin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both did a bunch of bad stuff, but...
Yeah. I don't know. We won't go there on that one.
That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where we left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained content like audio commentaries for the films and for the Clone Wars, and this week's episode is A Friend in Need. But starting next week, we will be doing Mandalorian commentaries for all of the new episodes, so join up if you want to get access to all of that.
On to YouTube questions. Darth Tano22 asks if Clovis would have exposed Padme and Anakin's relationship if he had survived his final episodes.
So that's like, I think season 6 of the Clone Wars. I think he probably would have. He seems like the type.
Yeah.
That would...
He's kind of weaselly.
Yeah, I mean, he loves Padme and all. He likes Padme, but he also hates Anakin. So, to be fair, it's been a while since we've seen those episodes.
Yeah.
But based on like the way he acts in all of his episodes and in Queen's Shadow, the book, I'm like, yeah, I think he's more out for himself first. He would do the selfish thing.
Yeah.
And probably hope that it'd be like, oh, you had to break up with Anakin. Oh, no. Well, are you single now? Can I give you a call?
But it would be funny, though, if he, like, went to Obi-Wan to specifically tell on Anakin and their relationship, and Obi-Wan's like, yeah,
duh.
Whatever. Just forget it.
Just mind wipes him.
Yeah, that would be funny. Brickflyer Smoothly wants to know what happened to the lightsaber Palpatine lost in Revenge of the Sith.
So we know that he had 2 lightsabers because of the Clone Wars, and the reason they did that, they showed him with 2 lightsabers, is because he loses the one out the window, but he has one to fight against Yoda later. So we know that he still has a lightsaber, but I kind of doubt he would just let that go. Like, oh, well, that just fell out the window, and guess I'll never see that again.
I don't know. I mean, if it fell into a speeder, somebody's like, oh, what was that? And then now it's just like a family heirloom. They don't know what it is.
I think I could see Palpatine hunting that down and being like, I want my lightsaber back. I don't think he'd want... It feels like evidence. Like, I don't know that anyone's going to dust for fingerprints and be like, the Emperor's fingerprints are on these. But it still just feels like one of those connections that he wouldn't want out there. Especially, like, it would have landed far down, but outside of his office. I don't know. I think he would hunt it down and try to get it back.
Maybe. That would be hard, though. Maybe he's got a Find My Lightsaber app.
He's like got like one of those little keychains on it. That,
tracking fob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just pulls out a tracking fob because those work like magic.
Yeah. And it beeps like a unlocking a car. Click, click.
He's just walking around Coruscant.
Matthew Kelly asks what sequel trilogy character we would want to see in a solo movie.
I think I'd go someone like on the maybe Tally Lintra. Like, you know, I'm trying to always get new pilot content out there. So I'd probably want to go for Tally or Snap or someone that we haven't spent a ton of time with.
I'm honestly trying to think.
I mean, I specifically didn't say Babu Frick, so you could say Babu Frick.
Oh, well. Yes. I was thinking Maz Kanata because we could see just a lot of stuff there, but I don't think any of these people would get solo movies in the first place.
I don't either. It's more just kind of like if we're dreaming. Maz is a great answer and one that I didn't consider even, but that's
she could be anywhere at any time in history, basically.
That's a great idea. Because it could be kind of like the life and times of Maz Kanata, or even if you focused on like the sequel trilogy era and after, she can use the Force, but she's also a pirate queen.
Yeah.
And like, what does that entail? She has business dealings and like protests that she has to put down. What's happening? Union disputes.
Aside from a solo movie, I would honestly love to see a comic series with this idea in mind. Just like, the adventures of Maz Kanata, the pirate queen. And
I mean, you mentioned her being in like the From a Certain Point of View books, and I was like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just what's she up to now?
When did she meet Chewie, and why does she call him her boyfriend?
She loves him. Everyone loves Chewie.
Well, I want to know the history. Gaming with Brian Manzi wants to know why Lucasfilm is being so secretive about Bothans.
Honestly, it is a little weird, and I don't know.
it could just be like a running joke at this point.
It might be.
Like, you know what, guys? Let's just keep the Bothans out of everything. Maybe they're saving him up for a rainy day, but I think it's probably just like at this point, they're like, let's not.
Well, it's curious because it's like they were in Legends plenty, and I don't know if they're like gonna do a redesign on the alien, like if they do have plans for the Bothans, or just I don't know. You'd think there's been plenty of content in between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, and the comics are in between Empire and Jedi now. Maybe they were saving it for that. Maybe they're like, okay.
Maybe they're saving it for the Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view book.
Well, like visually, why haven't we seen them? That's, I think, the bigger question.
Yeah. I don't know. Just to build anticipation for whatever they do.
But like, that seems like such a weird thing to build anticipation for. And it's not like, it's just an odd thing that, yeah, that's why I picked this question, because I have noticed it's like, where are the Bothans? They should be integrated with the Verbal Alliance.
Maybe their story in that book will just say, like, content not found.
Well, like, so now we're getting to this point where the comics are potentially going to tell the story of how the Bothans like got this information, and then it bleeds into Return of the Jedi, because they covered that in Shadows of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be cool to see them in the comic series, but they also didn't really cover the bounty hunter that Han and Leia ran into on Ord Mantell. I was like, surely they'll cover that in the comics. They didn't do that. So I'm like, are they gonna where are the Bothans, Lucasfilm? I'm just curious.
I like that Twitter account. Is it a Bothan?
Is it a Bothan? Yeah. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below, or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. And don't forget to check out our little Baby Yoda giveaway. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.